everything changed. The whole life was changed. It was changed for everybody, but special for the Jewish people. You will ask me, why the Jewish people? Because right away, when they came in, they made all kind of rules and regulations. It was a curfew till 5 o'clock, you have to be out in the street. They put up armbands, you had to wear the Jude. Everything was changed. It was really like a nightmare.
Keep going. Yeah.
My parents, very nice young people. My mother was 39. My father was 37 years when the war started. But everything changed. When they came into the town, they right away took us in, like they took away our homes. They put us in special places because they need the apartments, the houses for themselves. Then the first thing, the Jews had to move out and be in smaller quarters. Everyone was in much smaller quarters. When somebody had a bigger house, had to take in somebody else, and we lived over there together. What could I tell you? When you're young, you're 15 years old, and your whole life changes. It's not very easy. Then in 1940, they took away my father right away. My father was just but a neighbor. He went in, he helped him something over there, and my mother said to him, go call in your father for dinner. I called him in, we sitting down by the table. It didn't took 10 minutes. Somebody busted the door straight open with their shiny boots. They bust the door, they walked in, they dragged away my father, and I was left over with my mother. And I don't know, they took my father away right away. And life was for us very, very hard, because no one is there to make a living and to support us, but we were very lucky. My father had a large family, and the family helped us a lot. Then in 1940, it started to be very bad in our town. Then we moved to a bigger town, it's called Częstochowa. My father had over there a sister and a brother living. Then we lived by my father's sister. We lived over there with them, very small apartment. We were about 12 people in there, in that apartment. But we got by it. Every day the Germans, they took out this one to work, this one has to do this has to do this. Everyone was taking out for different type of work. In 1942, then they start to liquidate that town too. That town lived over there at least about 50,000, 60,000 Jews. This was just the day after Yom Kippur. They start to make selections. The first selection, I would say, was by them a difference. They didn't know how they should organize that. Then they took from that block and from that block, they came in and they said, Jude, rouse, out. Just take what you could hold in your hand. And this, I went with my mother too. We went out from the house, we went in a big, big square. It's not far from the train station in Częstochowa. And that square came in, we came in one gate, and the people marched out in the other gate. When they marched out in the other gate, they went already to the trains. We came in this one. It was maybe about 10 people in a section, but they walked out like this. Just happened when they came to our house where we lived. We was almost like the last ones. We came over there and they stopped. They had enough people. They took out the first transport and they had enough people. My mother always said, look it, this uncle went already with the kids, this aunt went already with the kids. Why are you pushing away? Why you don't want to go with them together? I say, Ma, don't worry. We always have time to go. They always will take you. Don't push yourself. Luckily, they stopped. They didn't have too many wagons left. The wagons were full. Then the rest of the people were in that square. They sent it back home. They sent back home. We came home and were thinking, all right, this is it. They sent away, but I don't know, the first transport, 8,000, 7,000. I really don't know. Maybe this is it, and we will still stay in the ghetto, and we will work, and life will go on again normal. And meanwhile, when they left us to go home, they said it's a curfew, 5 o'clock, you have to be in the house. And you cannot go out from the house. A few days. This was 3 days we wasn't allowed in the house. The third day was the second selection. The second selection was organized already much better. They took up like 10 blocks. And the 10 blocks people, there were big houses. There was a lot of people in one apartment living. After they had enough, they stopped again. And it took another 3 days. They made a third selection. The third selection, they go different blocks. They took again about 5,000 to 6,000 people. They had enough. They stopped again. They went home. 3 days later, again, this went out 5 selections. By the fourth selection, I was with my mother, and we were walking in the street, and just a Jewish policeman, his name was Les Lauer, and I knew him. And I asked him, they taking this side too? He said, no, not yet. Then meanwhile, I saw the door open, and I grabbed my mother, and I said, come, we will run in there. We came in Warsaw, on Ulica Warszawska. We came in over there. The Jews were not happy that I escaped from the march to go in that house. We came in, we didn't even have where to go to sleep, what to eat. We were outside in the courtyard. Luckily, I met a woman, but she was from the same town, and she lived by a cousin over there. Masha Blitz was her name. She said, don't worry, you will come in and you will sleep with us. The 3 days we spent in that house, we didn't have food. It was really unbearable. But all right, this is it. Maybe the next 3 days will be better. Then, when it came already to the last selection, the 5th, I went with my mother. We went out. They want to make Judenrein that town. Judenrein means the cleansing of the Jews. You know, not to have Jews over there. We marching over there. We see the Germans there. His name was Degenhardt. And everyone comes, single person comes over to him. He had a stool. He had his foot up. Sometimes he was sitting and sometimes he was standing. And had a stick. And he showed you, go left, go right. Go left, go right. And I knew already that by every selection, he takes out some people. We didn't know for what he's taking out the people, but by every selection, he took out 200 boys and 200 girls. My mother was just behind me. I was in the front. And I come over, and he asked me, how old are you? And I said, 18. And he pushed me to the right, and I went to the right. In a split second, I didn't saw my mother already. A split second, I was to the right. I didn't know. I came over. It was over there maybe about 100 girls standing over there already. Then we talking what they will do with us. They said, don't worry, they probably will find some jobs for us and we will stay here. We didn't know what they will do with us because just taking out for 150, 200 girls for now, 5,000, 6,000, then you have to be really lucky. And I was between the lucky ones. I come over when it was finished the selection. We staying in that square, standing like this. We talking, everybody said my mother went, my father went, no one had no one. Standing like this, we heard a baby crying. We looking around, no babies. How could a baby cry here? Then one girl, she was maybe 22, 23, beautiful girl, black hair, she stays by my eyes right now. She took down the knapsack, put it down on the floor. She put in a baby in the knapsack. Then everybody said, what do you will do with the baby? They will kill us too. She had some drops, and she could give the baby to sleep, and the baby was sleeping again. She passed the selection with the knapsack on, with the baby was sleeping. Then when we stayed over there, maybe an hour later, maybe the baby woke up, she could give another, I don't know what she had. I never saw her after that. Till she saved the baby, till she didn't save the baby, where she took the baby, I really don't know. So this is really people, what I remember the knapsack like now. It makes like little holes, you know, that should have air inside. The whole knapsack it make with little holes that it should have air, that the baby could breathe. The baby was maybe a few months old. You know, how big could a baby be to put a knapsack on your back?
Sure.
You know. This was my first experience when I saw that. After that, they took us in a big house. It used to be the bed house. But you going in to take beds, you know, public bed house. That all building, they took us, the boys and the girls, the girls on one side and the boys on the other side. After that, we didn't know what they will do with us. They assigned us to a little smaller ghetto. They put us in that ghetto, the boys and the girls together. I cannot really know how many, maybe it was about 2,000 people, you know, 1,000 girls and 1,000 boys. I really don't know. I cannot say exact how much. And they assigned us to go to work. What was the work? The work was the people left the houses. They left everything in the house. And somebody comes into you now and say, go out, take just what you could take on your back or a small valise. The houses, we had to clean this out. Then I was assigned to clean out just the dishes. Some was assigned for the clothes, some was assigned for the furniture, some were assigned for all different, for silverware, for things. I was assigned just for dishes, no silverware either, just dishes. You came in a house, people leaving, you find all kind of things. All kind of things. You had to see how beautiful paintings were hanging on the walls, how beautiful things it was in the house. Everything was packed and shipped to Germany. Everything. Let's be when you saw a set of dishes, when it was 8 was all right, or 12 is all right. When it was like 3 or 4, you put it aside. But when it was a whole set, you had to pack it in, put up your name, who inspected, and they send this whole thing away. The one what was left over, 2 or 3 or pots and pans, but they couldn't do it, they made like a market on a Sunday, and the Gentile people came in and they bought at everything what they need, you know. But they cleaned everything out, and this went on for months to clean out so many apartments, so many houses. When we were cleaned out everything, then we said, what they will do with our now? Then what we will do now? They put us in the small ghetto. One day they come in and they say, you will go and work in a factory. It's an ammunition factory. They had in Transtafel an ammunition factory. I worked by the Laufband. The Laufband is when you make the shells for the rifles,
yeah.
you know. Mm-hmm. And I was just on the Laufband, wore white gloves, and you had a special basket. You put it every shelf in there, and they shipped it in the front to the front. Some was in the Laufband, some was the Wascherei, the Hechelei. They have all kind of names, and we worked over there. Then we figured out what will be later. They will not keep us here. Then I had a friend, and he said, "Let's escape from the ghetto. Let's escape."
How long did you work in the ghetto, in the factory?
In the factory, I worked till 1943, till October 1943. From 42 till 43. We worked for 3 months. We worked for 3 months for the cleaning out the houses, you know.
Yeah.
And then they took us over there. Then we start to look how could we escape? Maybe we will escape. We heard it was small camps out from Transtafel. It was small camp, but they worked for the farmers, and they worked over there. The Jews were in charge of the camps. You sent every day. They sent out people, you know, and you worked over there. At night you came back. This wasn't a camp that is wired. Nothing. It was open. You couldn't escape. You could escape, but where you will go? Then you're better off to be in that camp. Then my friend said, "It's there such a camp, maybe we'll escape from the ghetto and we will go to that camp." Finally, we escaped one night. We went escaped. When they changed the guard, we went 4 people, 3 boys and I. We came into that camp. That camp, the name was Zogos. I came in over there. It wasn't so easy to get in. We walked the whole night. We were afraid the Polish people shouldn't see us. But not, they would right away report to the Germans. It was 7 kilometers, it's not far. And we walked the whole night because we were afraid. When we saw the light, we didn't walk till we came into that camp. We came into that camp, it wasn't easy to get into. He couldn't right away take in people because he has so many people in that camp. How we will have 4 more, you know. But they took us in. We worked over there till the end of 1943. End of 1943, they liquidated these camps too. They liquidated the camps. They round up all of the camps. Just one guy from my town, when they round up the camp, he wanted to escape. The Germans came with the trucks, and they round up the camp, and he saw them, he wanted to escape. His name was Zombeck. The minute they saw him, they killed him right away on the spot. And they hold a whole speech. They say, "You see, this will happen. When you will escape, will be the same thing. You couldn't escape from here. You have to be where everybody is going." Okay. They round us up, and they sent us to Blachhammer. We came to Blachhammer. They assigned us to different camps, girls different, boys different. We came to Blachhammer. I had a guy from my town. He had a little boy. That little boy knew that the father will leave him. Because in Blachhammer they make a selection too. What is the selection? The younger ones they took to work. The older ones they put away aside. They had a big barrack. They put them in that barrack. And some of them were young kids, like 5 years, 4 years, 6 years, you know. Mm-hmm. And they took the kids in that barrack too. They took them in. And that little boy saw that the father wants to leave him. And he said, Daddy, you will not leave me. You will not leave me. I always remember how he said, Daddy, you will not leave me. Daddy, you don't go away. I am with you. But he knew when he goes with the little boy, they will take him out anyway, right away. They sent him in a different camp. Maybe when he will be without that little boy, he could survive. Then it was a woman over there, they took her in that camp. She was with a lot of older people and children. Her name was Besser. And she said, don't worry, I will take care of you, boy, in case we go in a camp or someplace else. I will watch you, boy. Don't worry. And he tried, he went into that barrack and tried to leave that little boy. And he left him over there. He left him. Look it's not so easy for a father to leave a child and to go away. But he wouldn't survive when he would go with the child. It's really very hard to explain how your mind works that time. You never know how your mind will work. You never know. Then they took us, the girls, separate. They sent me with about 200 girls. They sent us to Neustadt. They sent us to Neustadt in Gruschwitz factory. We worked over there. They have 2 shifts. The factory went 24 hours a day. Day shift and a night shift. We worked over there. I worked in the fields.
Did they give you uniforms when they assigned jobs to you?
We didn't wear. We wore the same clothes what we had, but they never give us fresh clothes. We always wear the same thing what we had. Sometimes they brought in a few dresses, a few things. There was people in the committee, and they always took the clothes. And the one what they went to work, they never had. The clothes what you came, the clothes that you wore, the whole time, the whole time.
How about hair cutting? Did they cut your hair?
No, they didn't cut our hair. We wear our hair, and we went to work, and it was over there a seamstress. You know what when the clothes were, they repair a little bit to repair the things, and sometimes they had enough clothes that they could give it to you, you know. It was pretty good organized. It was really good organized in that camp. And we was over there by 1,000 girls. We went out every day to work. There was a night shift and a day shift. I worked in the day shift. And I worked in the fields. In the summer, this was a factory what produced cotton, thread. All kind of cotton from the stretch. Then when you're making the cotton, you have like flax, they call it. I don't know how. I never asked how this name is. And you had to put this out on the field, and this has to dry, and it had to go through the wet, the moisture, and everything. And then when it's dried out, you make bundles, and you took it in the dresserai, to clean it out, and then for this they made it the cotton. And I worked over there in that factory till 1944. In 1944, the end of the day, we came home, and in the morning we supposed to go to work. And Juden Elterson, what she was, Mitzi was her name, she said, you're not going tomorrow to work, we're going to join you. Where we going, she doesn't know. She doesn't know. We were 1,000 girls. This was in the winter, in December, the end of November, the beginning of December. That's what we had. We took the blankets, what we had when we lay down in the beds. We had blankets, but they could give like the military blankets. And we wrapped around ourselves. And we walked out. We walked This is it. Where we walking, we don't know. Finally, we marched like this for 6 weeks. Every day we were marching. Some people didn't have the shoes, some girls. They were barefooted. The snow was up to here. We didn't change clothes. We didn't have to change clothes. We marched the whole day. At night, they tried to get into a farmer. And when the farmer took us in, they were sleeping with the cows and the horses in the barn. The Germans went in their house. They slept over there, what was guarding us. And we, every night, in a different farm. We came to a farmer, what was a rich farmer. We always get potatoes, we get a soup, we got something. Sometimes we came to a poor farmer, what he doesn't have. He just could give you the barn to sleep. And this went on for 6 weeks like this.
For 6 what?
6 weeks.
Wow.
6 weeks. We most washed ourselves with the snow, and the snow was our water, everything. We marched like this. Finally, we marched in a camp in Flossenburg. We came in over there. We were thinking now, when we come in a camp, we will go to work again. We come in that Flossenburg. It was a big warehouse. For what that warehouse was, I don't know. Big warehouse. The camp was away in the other side. It was a men's camp. Just men was working over there. Nothing on the floor, just dirt. We come in and they say, you will stay here. Next day we will see what we will do with you. We didn't know what. We come in and that everybody tried to walk to the wall that should have a space where to sleep, you know, that one shouldn't step over 1,000 girls, you know. But we lost a lot of girls on the march. We wasn't 1,000. We lost a lot of, maybe about 800, maybe 700. We lost a lot of people on the march.
Was that from starvation?
From starvation, from the cold, from that we lost the people. And when they saw somebody cannot walk, not what I am, they killed them right away. They didn't left them alive. They didn't left them alive. We come in there, it's so cold, unbelievable. What could we do? We lay down with the blanket what we have. In the middle, they put up a big pail in case you have to go and dispose yourself at night. And they locked the door, and we were sleeping over there. In the morning, they opened the door. The girl said, who could, to help to take out the pail, to put it out, and bring again back the pail and put it in the middle. Even in the day you have to go. You wasn't allowed to go out. You just was allowed to go out. Every morning they made an appeal. The appeal was to count how many is still alive. Why they were counting us so much, I really don't know. I really don't know. Every time was less and less and less. But they count us. We stayed over there 10 days. They could give us once a day a meal. They brought it in a soup every day. Once a day, a soup and a potato. They could give us in. After 10 days, the Judenältesten tells us, you know, girls, we're going on another journey. I say, where we will go now again? They didn't know what to do with us because they knew they're losing the war. They didn't know what to do with us. They want to shove us into another camp. The camp had enough people. They have the most dead people over there. They didn't know what to do with us. They round us up. They said, you're going to a train station. You come to the train station. Over there you go a journey for 2 days. Where we go, we don't know. They don't know.
This was 1944.
This is already starting in the 45. It came in already to the 45, you know. We came in that station. we marched over, we went in, the train was waiting for us. It was cattle cars, you know. And the Germans have in the front the beautiful train with the sleeping, with everything, one in the front and one in the back. And we in the middle had the cattle cars, you know. And they could give us a piece of bread and they could give us a bottle of water. And they said, we will be 2 days. They shoved us in the cattle car, and one was maybe 100 gallons, and another one maybe was 60 gallons or 70 gallons. We couldn't even sit down. Standing like sardines. We were packed like sardines. We come in. Where we going, we don't know. That journey, the 2 days, supposed to be, took about 5-6 days. We lost count. I tell you the truth that we lost count because we couldn't sit down. We couldn't sleep. You made where you're staying. You didn't have what to make because you didn't get the food.
Yeah,
you know.
Sure.
Then it's the people that didn't went so much because what we was soaking wet all over, dirty. I cannot even tell. Such dirt, such filth that it's unbelievable. How people could do to people, to put them in a cattle car and to put about 100 gallons, 80 gallons, 70 gallons in there, but after the march and after that thing, with no changing clothes, with no nothing. When the cars went, we didn't know where we were going. One time we went this way, one time we went this way. We knew that it doesn't go straight in one direction. It went in one direction, then they probably was bombed or something. They couldn't go. Then they went back. They stayed over there, and then they went again over there. We didn't know. Finally, after 5 or 6 days, they stopped the cars, and they opened the doors. And when they opened the doors, I tell you, the girls were falling out like flies. And the minute one couldn't stand up, the Germans were there and killed them right away. Not to leave somebody a little bit alive, no. They killed them right away.
With a pistol?
With a pistol. Right away. That's all. We maybe marched in, maybe we lost about 500 girls. I don't know. I cannot really say how many. We marched in to a camp, it's called Bergen-Belsen. We came in, we were thinking we go into that camp. Now, at least we go in a camp, we will wash up, we go to work, it will be the way it was. No, we came into that camp, the same thing. No floors, no wooden floors, under dirt, they put us in, so wet, so filthy, you smell like I cannot even it's really, sometimes I think about it. How a person could survive like this, I don't know. Today, when you don't wash your hand right away, you will catch germs. When you don't do this, you will catch a cold. I don't know, I didn't catch that cold. I wasn't sick. How I survived, I really, really don't know.
You were lucky and strong.
We come in that camp, and they put us in maybe about 60 gallons in one room, on the floor again.
What time of the year was this? This
was
fall,
already,
winter?
And this was already about, I will tell you, we marched, and then we came over there. Well, maybe by February. It still was cold. It was still cold. January or February. It was still cold. We came in, it was still snow on the thing. It was still cold.
No shoes?
No shoes. No shoes. I tell you, no shoes.
Wow.
No shoes. A lot of girls, some of them had a pair of shoes. They had the shoes. Some of them were barefooted. No shoes. No shoes. And the clothes was that blanket was like it was sometimes so soaking wet till it dried out, but you didn't want to leave that blanket because you will not have nothing else. Then you kept to that blanket on you. We come in over there, they told us again, no food, no water. Bergen-Belsen had very little water. Finally, the day later, they came in and they could give us a soup. I remember like now. They could give us the soup. We ate it like it would be, I don't know what, you know. One day, they could give us, every day, they could give us a soup. And we didn't do no work over there. We were laying in that barrack, filthy, dirty. You couldn't even wash yourself. You couldn't even go to a bathroom. The bathroom, I will tell you, it was made from a big tent, like you have the tents here, big tents. In that tent was laying hundreds and hundreds dead bodies. And this is the way when you went to expose yourself. Hundreds and hundreds of bodies, dead bodies. Why they had the tents? Because they couldn't, I don't know, till they burned the people in Bergen-Belsen. Everybody what was dead, they put it in the tents. They have a few tents like this, and they throw it in the hundreds and hundreds of bodies was laying over there. The work was, when they knew that they losing the war, the men were still digging ditches, deep ditches, very deep in Bergen-Belsen, very deep ditches. And the men and the women dragging the dead bodies to throw into that ditches. When I saw it, when they dragged the dead bodies, I swear to God, even now, I said, they will never drag me like this. I will fight how much I could, but they never will drag my body like this. One bar a leg, one bar an arm. And this went a whole day went on the caravan like this to drag the dead bodies. When you saw that, all the girls, we were crying. We say, how could this happen? How could this come to be so many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of bodies laying around? But this was. Finally, when the liberation came.
But you had to drag some of these bodies.
No, I didn't.
No.
I didn't. I always tried myself. I saw them. You saw them.
Yeah.
You saw them how they. But they never came into that barrack where I was, that we have to go and drag that bodies. We always said, God forbid, when we had to drag that bodies, maybe we will bury ourselves with the bodies and not to drag the bodies like this. We were really lucky, that barrack, that we didn't drag the bodies. And we were talking, how could this happen, and how could this let happen, to see that human could do this to human? How could this happen? We couldn't even understand how this could happen. We couldn't. When the liberation was, I was almost dead. I was liberated by the English, but the British soldier. I was liberated by them. I had a friend, she lived in Australia. We still a very close friend. Her name is Lola Lockman. And we went together, laying. But I was so sick that I couldn't even move. Then she went out and she saw that the Red Cross is coming to take the people to a hospital or something. And she begged them to come in to take me. When they came in, I don't even remember, I tell you the truth. I was out. The only thing I remember, I said, I want to die to know that the Germans were defeated. I don't care when they die later, but at least to know that they were defeated. And I knew that when I was laying almost dead, that the Germans were defeated. when they took me in the Red Cross, in the ambulance,
Yeah.
the ambulance, I was laying and I thinking, they're defeated, you know, I know.
Did the Red Cross tell you they were defeated?
We knew.
You knew it.
We
You
knew
knew.
because my friend told me, you know,
Oh.
the Germans left and we are now, I don't know what will be. Thank God, she was strong. She became ill later, but she was still stronger for me. And they took me to the hospital. They took me to the hospital. I was so filthy that they have to scrub me, to shave my hair, because the lice were like this, you know, because you didn't wash yourself, you didn't change clothes. They took me to the hospital, and for at least, I wouldn't say, at least for 2 weeks, I didn't know what's going on. I didn't know. I was so ill, you know. And they nourished me,
You were weak.
and I was really in that hospital. When I was, then, when I came to myself already, and I knew where I am, I know in the room, it was a big room, we was maybe about 10, 12 girls laying in that room with no clothes on. We were just naked, just the blanket. They could give you the blanket and they come and they didn't want to give you food. They could give you little by little. They didn't want to give you food because, you know, after a typhus, you're very hungry too.
Well, you had typhus.
Yeah, I had typhus. Yes, I had typhus.
Yeah.
And you were very hungry, but they kept it to know how much you could eat. And
You
how
could
much
die if you ate too much.
That's right. When you eat too much, you could die. But they didn't. They really kept me. After maybe 2 weeks later, I knew what's going on. Because I had high fever, I didn't even know what and where it's going. After 2 weeks later, they would start to meet each other, you know, and they start to say that we are liberated, and we are liberated by the British. And we are in a hospital. I didn't even know that I am in a hospital. I didn't know nothing. One day, one girl, but she knows me from the camp, came in that hospital, and she said, "Go out from bed, don't lay in bed." I said, "I'm so weak, I cannot go out." She said, "Take the blanket, wrap around, and come out. You will see soldiers, you will see outside, you know." Her name, she is from a small town, from Klobutsk, you know. And I said, "No, I cannot." She said, "Come, take the blanket." I remember like now, she put up the blanket, went down. We went down, there were 2 soldiers sitting and eating white bread. For the first time I saw white bread, you know. She goes over and she said, "You have enough, you could have other bread. We don't have." And she took out the 2 slices of bread and she gave it to me. You know, I still remember how she could give me the 2 slices of bread. You know, I saw the white bread that time. She said, "You see, when you go out a little bit, you will get some food." But I was so weak, I couldn't even move. I really mean it. I couldn't even move. And I was staying in that hospital.
You were weak, but were you hungry?
Hmm?
You were
I
hungry?
was even not hungry.
Oh, I will shut this off. Go ahead.
I was still in the hospital for a long time, till the doctors could release me. One day, I'm laying in bed, and it was maybe about 5 or 6 o'clock. It was dark a little bit already. And I heard somebody calls my name. Lola, Lola, Lola. Everybody took the blanket. The girls were afraid. Who knows who came in, you know? A man came in. Then I hear somebody calls really my name. I give a look, and I see a guy from my town. His name was Meyer Weisfelder. And he said, "Lola, what are you doing here? How are you doing?" I said, "Fine." I said, "How do you found me?" He said, "I'm looking for my sister. I don't know where my sister is." And I came in another section from the hospital, And it was over there a girl, her name is Dora Weisfellner, and he was thinking maybe this is his sister. He knew a Weisfellner, but he didn't know. He came into her, and he asked her, maybe you know my sister, her name was Sally Weisfellner. She said, no. And he told her from the town, and she said, oh, you know, Lola Lockman is in this hospital too. Just like this. He said, yeah, which room? And she probably told him, I don't know. And he came in and looked for me. This is the first man, but I saw it after the war, came and looked for me. And I was so happy to see him. He said, don't worry. Now I am working in a kitchen in Bergen-Belsen over there. I'm working in a kitchen and you will have plenty food. I say, Mike, the food like the food. I don't even have what to wear. How could I go out? I don't have nothing. I just have again the blanket and the sheet. I don't have nothing. He said, don't worry. I will bring you some clothes. Next day, he comes in a bicycle and brings me a dress. It's a check it. I still remember when I go in to eat pizza, they have checked tablecloths, pink table, such a dress. The dress was maybe a size 18, I tell you. With a bra, with panties. I say, Mike, from where you got this? He said, I saw it hanging in a line. I took off the clothes and I brought it to you. And this was my first dress, what I had. I couldn't even put up the bra because it was so big, and the panties, just the dress. And he took me on his bike to his place where he was working in the kitchen. And every day he came and took me out from the hospital, and I was over there, and he found his sister. And we were sitting and talking, and what we will do now, where we will go, and what we will do. Everybody said the parents are not alive, and this one said this is not alive. What we will do? She said, I said, I really don't know. I know that my mother has family in Belgium. This I know. But maybe they're alive. In Poland, maybe my mother and my father, I knew they're not alive. I knew my mother went to Treblinka with the 5th selection. My father, they took away right away in 1940. He was 37, my mother was 39, young people.
When they came to the house and took him out, you never saw him after that?
No. Then I knew the only thing, my mother had a brother and had a sister living in Belgium before the war. And she had a brother living in Germany. In Germany, I knew it's not there because they took all the Jews, then they took him too. But I didn't know that in Belgium they took the Jews too, I tell you the truth. We didn't have a paper, we didn't know nothing. And I'm sitting in by him over there, we sit on the bed in that little room, me with Sally, and a guy walks in. Because over there, a lot of people came in. It was like a kitchen. You came in and then you got the food. The Red Cross, I don't know who established that every survivor could come in and get a meal over there, you know. Then that guy came in, his name was Ivan, and he said, Gerns, what you will do now? I said, I don't know. I am from this town, and I don't know where my mother is. I know I have an uncle in Belgium. Maybe I will get in contact with him. He said, oh, in the camp in Flossenburg, not Flossenburg. I forgot the name of the camp already. In the camp where I am, not far from Bergen-Belsen, is there a guy, what he is from Belgium. And he doesn't want to go back to Belgium. He waits. Maybe he will find some family here till he will go back. I say, you know, maybe you do me a favor and give him, I will write down who I am. And maybe he knows my uncle and my aunt. He said, okay. For the first time, I took a piece of paper and I wrote in Jewish. My mother's name is Eva Weisfellner. My father's name, Moshe Schlamkiewicz. and she has a brother. His name is Zelig Weisfeldner, and I am the daughter from Chava. Maybe he knows somebody. And he took that letter. It took, I forgot the name of the camp. It took a few days. You couldn't come right away. They have to hitchhike to go from one camp to the other. And he comes back to that camp, and he goes in over there. At night, the boys and girls came together in one room, and he said, you know what, I was in Bergen-Belsen, and I met a girl, and she's looking for family from Belgium. I know you from Belgium, maybe you know her family. And he opens that letter, and this was my mother's brother.
Oh my God. What
this was
a
my
coincidence.
When he left Poland, I was just probably born. He lived in Belgium. His daughter is a little bit younger for me, you know. And when he heard that I am alive, he right away hitchhiked, and he came to that camp and went into the doctor and tried to give me a discharge that I am okay already from the camp.
And he wanted to take you back to Belgium?
And he took me back to Belgium. He took me like I am his daughter. He went to the Belgium consul, and he said he found a daughter, and he wants to take me into Belgium.
You didn't recognize him, though.
How did
you never saw him?
I never saw that. I knew of the pictures.
You knew there was an uncle there.
I knew it was an uncle, and I knew it's an aunt.
They've changed pictures.
I saw the pictures before the war. I know his pictures, you know. And my uncle tried very hard. He had a hard time to take me out from Germany to Belgium.
Yeah.
Belgium didn't want to let in, you know. The Belgian people didn't want to have, how you say, too many refugees, because they have their own. It's a small place, you know, and they don't want it. You could stay over there just on a transit, but not to become a Belgian citizen, you know. Mm-hmm. He gave that he supports me, that I am supported by him, you know, that he will take care, that the city will not have to be like here you go on welfare or something, that he will take care of me. And this happened, and I came to Belgium with my uncle. It took us weeks and weeks till we came to Belgium. And my uncle came, and he didn't find no one. He found a sister. The sister was alive because they were hidden by Belgian people, you know. And he knew he has a daughter, and the daughter, he left her in France. When the war broke out, he marched from Belgium to France, and he left her in France. Before they catched him, they sent him away. He took the daughter and pushed her in a church and left her over there. And she survived. She lives now in Florida. She survived, you know. And I lived in Belgium, and I came to Belgium, I was sick too. I was sick, I had the shingles, very, very badly. Then I went to the clinic. Sitting in the clinic, I will make the story short. Sitting in the clinic, my husband walks in. He wasn't my husband. I knew him.
Interview his story.
I knew him. He didn't know me. I knew his girlfriend, what he had. Because he was a big shot over there and thing. He was, you know. And I said, that guy was killed. Where is he coming here? You know, and I'm sitting.
What, you heard that he was killed?
Yes. When I escape, I go back now from Charleston. When I escaped by the third selection, I came in that house, and in that house, his parents were there. I didn't know this is his parents. I didn't know. But when it was the fourth selection, somebody told him his father I should remember like now. Stayed, but it's not a door. How you say that? Too big gate, but a big gate. And he stayed by that gate from the morning till night, outside, to watch. I didn't know he left. He escaped from that place with his girlfriend to go over. They want to go over to the Polish side, but they catch them. They couldn't go. And somebody said that they catched a boy and a girl and they killed him. And their name was Lola and his name was Shayu. Then they killed him. And the father was staying by that gate. And when somebody told him that story, then he said, please don't tell my wife. Don't tell my wife. My wife shouldn't know that. My wife shouldn't know that. Just like this. Then I knew that he was killed and his girlfriend was killed. And I come to Belgium in that clinic and he walks in. Then I say, how could this possible? Then I went.
Must have been shocking.
And then I go over to him. And I ask him, is your name Shayu? He said, yes. He said, how do you know me? Just like this. I say, I know you, but you don't know me. Just like this. And from that day on, the romance start. We start to go out. And we got married in Belgium. We got married over there. And we had one child. His name is Abraham Lockman. In Belgium, they call him Albert. My son didn't like the name Albert. He wanted to go back. His name is Abraham Michel Lockman. He likes better this way. And he changed back his name to Abraham Michel Lockman. And this is it. That's all. Then we came in, when we were in Belgium, my husband had an uncle in the United States, and he wants to come to the United States. He worked in Belgium. We made a very nice living, but we had to go every month to report that the family is supporting us. They didn't want it that you should go on welfare or something in Belgium. They didn't want it. And he had a very good uncle here in the United States. He sent him money, and he was working. And he said, I'm trying to make the papers for you. When the papers will be ready, you will come to the United States. And that happened. In 1950, we emigrated to the United States.
Where did you land in the States?
And in New York.
New York.
In New York. First, we went to France in Marseille. The ship went away in Marseille. And it just happened. When I came to France, it's another story. I came to France and I had my bag, my pocketbook, and my cousin, she lives now in Canada, but she is alive, and she knew that I'm coming to France, and from France I'm going to the United States. She said, when you come, I want you should come to me for dinner. I said, okay. We arrived by train. She picked us up at the station in France, and she said, come for dinner, come for dinner. I said, look, at first I have to put in the suitcases in the hotel. I settle down in the hotel, I go to you for dinner. Okay, we went over there, we settled, put in the suitcases, and we told the front desk that we're going away for dinner. We come back. When we came back, they come knocking by the door, and they say, give me the passport. He got his passport in the pocket, and I am looking for my bag, and I don't have the bag. I don't have my pocketbook. I don't know what happened. And in that pocketbook, I have the passport. My son was on my passport, not on his passport. He was on my passport. And I had the money, I had the jewelry, everything in that pocket. I said, where do I left the pocketbook? Must be, I was for dinner by my cousin and I left it over there. We take a taxi, we go back to see, because we didn't have a car. We came with a taxi here, with a taxi there. We go back to her place, and we search for the pocketbook, and I have no pocketbook. Then I lost the pocketbook in the taxi. And I don't know the taxi's name, and I don't know who was the taxi. And I was crying. I didn't know what to do. I said, what we will do now? The boat is going away, and I don't have a passport. I cannot take my son. He could go, but I cannot go. And my husband, he should be well. He said, don't cry. What do you... Okay, it happened. You lost the bag with the money, with everything. I know. But what could happen? I will try to live here in France, and I will try to go to work here, and that's all. I was so hysterical, I cannot even tell you. But right away, they reported to the police that I came here and I lost my bag. I probably left it in a taxi. And that we are immigrants, we have to go to the United States. And it's right away on all the radios in French that somebody came with a boy, and she left the pocketbook in the bag in the taxi. Maybe somebody had it. Please return it to this and this address, or give it to the police because they cannot go to the United States.
Amen.